Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In this last chapter of One Piece, we finally learned that Kizaru is going to have a big spotlight again, and this time, he's probably going to end up facing up against Luffy, who is currently now a Yonko, introducing a great enemy and challenge for Kizaru himself. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what Kizaru might be up to in Egghead, what the objective he's going to have on this island, how the battle between Kizaru and Luffy might be, and what the outcome of this incredible matchup and how it's going to happen in these next few chapters. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and it motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, Kizaru is one of the most powerful admirals and one of the people who's held this position for the longest, demonstrating that even after many years, he is still a very confident and powerful person to hold the position of admiral. Unlike some of his former comrades, Kizaru lacks the strong wills of Akainu or even Aokiji. Kizaru always prioritized doing things the way he wanted, as long as he was able to complete his role as a marine. During the Marineford arc in the Battle of the Best, Kizaru played a huge role in taking on the pirates and even Whitebeard and his minions, proving to be quite a tough obstacle. However, even before Marineford, Kizaru had already started to cause a lot of trouble for the Straw Hats, especially during the Sabati Archipelago arc, where Kizaru went to the archipelago to capture the pirates who had injured a world noble. After defeating some pirates of the worst generation, Kizaru saw the Straw Hats and then focused all his efforts to take their lives, starting with Zoro, who was already weakened because of his battle with a pacifista. Kizaru decided to capitalize on the opportunity to take Zoro's life, as no other Straw Hats would be able to harm him because of his Logia fruit, making him practically invincible during that fight. This was up until Silver's Rayleigh arrived to confront Kizaru, managing to prevent Zoro from losing his life and giving the Straw Hats the opportunity to retreat from the confrontation, while Kizaru took on Rayleigh. After Kuma teleported the Straw Hats to each of their time skip locations in safety, giving the Straw Hats the opportunity to stay away from Kizaru for quite a long time until they managed to get stronger. During the battle in Marineford, where Luffy was still without any training and didn't even know how to use haki, Kizaru repeatedly hindered Luffy from being able to save his brother Ace. And at one point in the battle, Kizaru even mocked Luffy's inability to save his brother. Kizaru presented himself as a rather annoying enemy. However, Luffy was not shaken by any of these offenses, and with the help of his allies, Luffy little by little managed to advance in the middle of this combat to reach his brother. Kizaru kept Luffy at bay from his target several times, and even destroyed Ace's original handcuff key, further hindering the chances of being able to save Ace, being a really big obstacle in Luffy's way during everything that transpired in the Battle of the Best in Marineford. It seemed like Kizaru had a great desire to be able to take on Luffy, and this was demonstrated much of the time during the battle in Marineford, especially after Luffy used his Conqueror's Haki to knock out some of the Marines nearby. Among all the admirals and higher-ups present, it was Kizaru who was the most impressed by the fact that this young pirate possessed one of the most powerful techniques, although he didn't really know how to use it perfectly yet. Overall, Kizaru continued to pursue Luffy as long as he was in range, first at the Sabati Archipelago and later at the Battle of Marineford due to the demands made by the world nobles. And since Luffy had been causing big problems not only for the world nobles, but also the world government, marines, and enemy pirates, Luffy's fame and bounty increased in a very quick and unexpected way. During the great battle that took place in Wano, Kizaru asked Akainu to let him go personally to take on the pirates that were there, and he mainly wanted to take on Luffy, who would be one of those responsible for starting this great confrontation against the Yonko. Even though Akainu wanted to send Kizaru to Wano with the intention of ending this great battle and capturing some important pirates, he couldn't allow the admiral to go. You see, Akainu feared the strength of Wano's swordsmen and samurai, and the great danger that they posed worldwide, so at that point, he couldn't allow one of his most powerful marines to go to Wano if there was a chance that he would lose his life. Recently in the One Piece manga, more specifically chapter 1069, we're following a story unfold on Vegapunk's island, Egghead Island, where the Straw Hats have finally managed to find the greatest scientist of them all, Dr. Vegapunk. However, as things have unfolded, it's turned out to be a somewhat turbulent encounter because ZP-0 has arrived with a big mission on Egghead, and it consists of taking the life of Vegapunk and his subordinates, and also collecting all of the scientist's weapons and inventions. But since the Straw Hats are on the island, this is going to become a little bit more difficult to accomplish because they are one of the most dangerous crews in the world now, and attacking them would be just too risky for CP0. Normally, a CP0 encounter with a Yonko wouldn't necessarily be a problem, as both wouldn't come into conflict, as that would cause major problems for both sides, mainly the CP0 that can't attack a Yonko without authorization from their superiors. However, when Luffy started an attack against Lucci, this kicked off a conflict between the Straw Hats and CP0, which caused the Navy to be alerted of this event. But even before the conflict happened, Akainu already had a containment plan against this threat. You see, he'd already ordered Kizaru to go to Egghead to contain the situation, causing Luffy and Kizaru to meet up again after quite a long time. Now, we don't know exactly how this encounter could happen, since Luffy is currently taking on Lucci. Now, most of the discussion out in the community is that because Luffy is a Yonko, it seems like he should be the easy winner of this battle between him and Lucci. Even though Lucci has managed to get stronger because of the awakening of his Zone Fruit, he's still gonna be far inferior to Luffy's power because he just defeated Kaido. Also, with Luffy's own awakening, he finally managed to awaken his fruit that takes away all physical limitations and even incredibly strengthened his haki during the Wano arc, making him Yonko level, or even managing to surpass the Yonko level. At the beginning of this confrontation between Luffy and Rob Lucci, we kinda see that Luffy is just observing the new power that the leader of CP0 has achieved with awakening from his fruit, a fight in which it may just be a warm-up. But with Lucci attacking Atlas, and as well as Sentomaru, leaving him in a state where he could end up losing his life in a few moments, this made Luffy really angry with Lucci, similar to the anger Luffy was feeling towards Kaido during his battle at Onigashima. This will make Luffy use all his strength to take on Lucci, fighting him seriously to defeat him as quick as possible, giving Rob Lucci no chance to achieve his goals. So in this next chapter of 1070, we're likely to see Luffy defeat Lucci, but during this time, and Luffy getting the victory, Kizaru will interrupt the fight and face off against Luffy himself, resulting in an Admiral versus the newest Yonko showdown. A confrontation of this scope would take a few chapters to play out, because both characters are extremely powerful. Now, during the Battle of Marineford, we saw that Kizaru was able to face off against Whitebeard, although he was still quite old and weakened because of his age and several blows that he'd already taken during the battle. As for Luffy, he just isn't at his peak yet, and he still has incredible evolutionary capabilities that have yet to be demonstrated. I mean, Luffy just did awaken his power recently, so he doesn't even know how to properly use everything his awakened fruit provides. Another thing we saw in this last chapter of 1069 is that Luffy just jumped right into Gear 5th, where he used one technique using the elasticity and this new technique that he managed to acquire during the transformation. Comparing this to Gear 2nd and the fact that he just had to use his brute force and haki against Lucci in the past, this is completely going to change the tone of this battle. So if everything plays out like many in the community are speculating, the fight against Lucci is not going to really prove to be a great challenge for Luffy, at least at where he can demonstrate new techniques of his awakened fruit, nor is it going to force him to overcome its limits in order to become stronger than his enemy. But Luffy taking on a fully fledged Admiral, well, that's a whole different kind of fight in itself. And something could end up happening in Luffy's fight against Kizaru, because as we know, Kizaru is an extremely strong and skilled opponent, possessing one of the most powerful devil fruits in all of the One Piece universe. Kizaru can travel at near or pretty much the speed of light, he can increase his power of his blows, he can shoot lasers, which gives Kizaru the ability to even use a sword made of light during battle. But perhaps the great challenge of Luffy taking on an Admiral is just the thing we need where he can demonstrate his new powers. I mean, it's hard to say who might win this confrontation because it's something really unpredictable. I mean, we don't know how much Kizaru has managed to evolve during the time skip, and we haven't even seen Luffy's full potential yet. There's even a possibility that Luffy and Kizaru will end the fight in a tie because of Kuma. Supposedly, the revolutionary Kuma is on his way to Egghead and just waiting for the right moment to appear. Remember, with Kuma's fruit, he can teleport an almost unlimited number of people, which would allow him to teleport his allies to safety, including Luffy. Or he just might teleport Kizaru away, throwing him far from Egghead, giving the Straw Hats and their allies the opportunity to get out of Egghead Island alive. I mean, even though Kizaru possesses a fruit made of light, it's likely he may not be able to make it back to Egghead in time, or he may not even go back directly because of his lazy justice and his lazy personality. So whether there's a tie or whether Luffy and Kizaru fight until one of them is defeated, it's a difficult event to really predict because we don't know if Luffy is in fact ready to take on someone as strong as an admiral, or if Oda's ready to see an admiral get defeated in his story. So this could mean that it's only going to be in the future where we're going to see a real conflict between Luffy and Kizaru, where they'll fight with all their power without any other obstacle of getting in the way of their final battle, resulting in one of the greatest fights in One Piece, or at least until the final showdown that we know is going to happen between Blackbeard and Luffy. But for now, we'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think there's going to be a full knockdown, drag-out fight between Kizaru and Luffy? And also, what do you think is going to happen with Lucci and Luffy? Do you think Lucci's going to go down as easily as many in the community think? Or does our wily carnivore have something more up his sleeve? Also, how do you think the battle's going to play out once Kuma arrives on the scene? Do you think Kuma might just bounce everybody away, at least the enemies for that matter, so that Vegapunk and the Straw Hats can get away clean? Or is something else going to transpire? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, I want to thank you all so much for watching our video. Be sure to comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.